Silence is the real revenge. Here's why. They expected you to yell. They wanted the explosion, the sharp retort, the emotional outburst, the bitter words meant to wound as much as they had wounded you. They wanted the scene, the noise, the spectacle, but instead, you gave them silence. And that silence echoed louder than any scream ever could. Revenge, for most people, is imagined in fire, in words that cut, in cold, calculated retaliation. But the most devastating revenge isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the calm departure, the refusal to engage, the decision to say nothing when everything inside you is begging to say something. Silence is often mistaken for weakness. But for those who understand its true nature, silence is strength refined into its purest form. It is control over chaos. Power without provocation. It is the most intelligent, most emotionally disciplined response to being wronged. Because silence speaks. And what it says is, you no longer have access to my energy. In a world that thrives on reaction, silence is rebellion. We're conditioned to believe that closure comes from confrontation. That if someone hurts us, we need to make them understand. We need to set the record straight. We think that revenge means making them feel what they made us feel. But what if the real revenge isn't about making them feel anything at all? What if the most powerful thing you could do is walk away without a word? Never explaining, never justifying, never trying to correct the narrative they've twisted? Because when you respond with silence, you're doing something extraordinary. You're stepping out of their story and reclaiming your own. You're choosing peace over performance, self-respect over validation, healing over drama. That is not passivity. That is power. There's a deep psychological principle at play here. When someone wrongs you, especially deliberately, they expect a reaction. In fact, many people provoke just to pull you out of character. They thrive on knowing they can disrupt your peace. It gives them a sense of control. But when you stay silent, you break that cycle. You rob them of what they wanted most, your emotional energy. Your silence forces them to face themselves. Without your participation to distract them. Without your anger to validate their actions. Without your presence to continue the game. It becomes a mirror. And for many, that mirror is unbearable. Because when there's no one left to fight, no more justifications to hide behind, they're left alone with their own behavior. And that's where the real discomfort begins, not for you, but for them. Stillness is a discipline, and not everyone has it. To stay silent in the face of betrayal, manipulation, or disrespect requires immense emotional restraint. Your ego will scream for revenge. Your pride will want to win. But silence reminds you that the only real victory is inner peace. When you don't respond, you're not saying you're okay with what happened. You're saying, I don't need to perform my pain for your understanding. You're choosing your dignity over their acknowledgement. You're letting go not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more than the need to prove a point. Silence also disrupts the cycle of emotional dependency. There's a certain dynamic that forms when you're constantly responding, defending yourself, explaining, trying to be understood by people who've already decided not to understand you. It becomes addictive. You start to believe that your worth is found in their recognition. But silence breaks that illusion. It says, I no longer need you to see me clearly. I see myself just fine. And in that moment, you stop chasing justice from someone incapable of giving it. You stop handing over your power for scraps of validation. You stop watering dead plants, hoping they'll bloom. You realize walking away quietly is not weakness. It's a declaration. It says, "You are no longer worth the sound of my voice." Think of all the times you've been baited into conflict. The moments you rehashed the same arguments. The hours spent writing messages you never sent. Imagining conversations that never happened. Building cases in your mind that no one would ever care to understand. Now think of all the peace you could have had if you had simply let it go. Not because it didn't hurt, but because clinging to that pain was costing you more than it was worth. Silence is a boundary. It is a line in the sand that says, "I do not owe you access to me." And when you hold that line, when you resist the urge to explain yourself to people who already chose to misunderstand you, something amazing happens. You get your power back. There is a kind of revenge that doesn't burn bridges, it builds distance. Quiet, graceful distance. The kind that leaves others wondering. Wondering why you didn't fight back. Wondering what you're thinking. Wondering if maybe, just maybe, they were wrong. But you're not sitting around hoping they'll come to that conclusion. You've already moved on. That's the beauty of silence. It allows you to exit with grace while the noise continues behind you. And eventually, that noise begins to collapse in on itself. Because the truth is, people who thrive on drama need your participation. When you remove yourself, the stage goes dark, and they're left performing for an audience of one. That is not cruelty. That is freedom. And let's be honest, revenge that's built on pain rarely brings peace. Even when you win an argument, or deliver the perfect comeback, there's still a hollowness. Because true healing doesn't come from harming someone back. It comes from refusing to carry the wound they gave you. Your silence is a signal to yourself. I don't have to fight to be heard. I can choose to be free instead. That freedom is priceless. It's what allows you to sleep at night. To move on without bitterness. To walk through life without dragging the past behind you like a chain. Silence doesn't mean you weren't hurt. It means you've chosen not to bleed in front of those who made you bleed in the first place. In time, they may notice your silence. They may reach out. They may try to pull you back into the same patterns. But you'll feel different. Because once you've learned to choose peace over proving a point, once you've tasted the power of no longer reacting, you don't go back. You don't unlearn that kind of sovereignty. You've built a sanctuary inside yourself. And not everyone gets to visit. Revenge doesn't always come with thunder. Sometimes it arrives wrapped in stillness. No warnings, no noise, just the absence of your presence. And that absence is louder than anything you could say. Because when someone loses access to the version of you that would have argued, begged, explained, they begin to realize what they lost. Not because you forced them to see it, but because they have no more distractions left. Just themselves. And you're already gone. So the next time someone betrays you, mocks you, underestimates you, don't waste your voice. Let them speak. Let them shout. Let them twist the truth. You don't have to correct them. Your silence will do that for you. Because silence is not weakness. It's the quiet roar of someone who knows their worth. And that is the kind of revenge that doesn't destroy, it transforms. It doesn't seek to break others, it simply refuses to be broken. It says everything, without saying anything at all.